Imagine waking up every morning with a clear mind, an energized body, and a steady sense that today is not just another day to survive, but an opportunity to move forward, an opportunity to take back control, an opportunity to stop being dragged around by old habits, your phone, procrastination, exhaustion, and the noise of life. But be honest, how many mornings do you actually wake up like that? Or most of the time, do you open your eyes feeling heavy, reach for your phone, scroll through a few meaningless things, and let your whole day be controlled before you have even controlled yourself? Today, you will learn 7 Stoic morning habits to begin the day like a person with inner sovereignty. Not cheap motivation tricks, not hollow slogans telling you to just be positive, but 7 small, practical actions strong enough to create a different person inside you. Clearer, more disciplined, less reactive, and less easily pulled away from your center by the world. If you often wake up tired, procrastinate, feel lost, or let your day begin in chaos, listen carefully all the way to the end. Because a morning that is not mastered will turn the entire day into reaction. But a morning that is mastered can become the foundation for a stronger life. 1. Wake up a little earlier to take back control. Your morning does not begin when you open your eyes. It begins the moment you decide, today, will I lead or will I be dragged away? Most people have a very complicated relationship with the morning. The bed is warm, the snooze button is sweet, it whispers just 5 more minutes. But those 5 minutes are usually not just 5 minutes. They are the first negotiation with your discipline. And if you lose that small negotiation at the very start of the day, do not be surprised when you lose many more throughout the day. Waking up earlier is not about proving you are better than anyone else, not about showing off how hardworking you are, not about turning yourself into a productivity machine. Waking up earlier is about giving yourself a space no one can invade. Before the messages arrive, before work starts pulling at you, before the noise outside begins demanding a reaction, you have a stretch of time that belongs only to you. That is where you reset your mind. That is where you listen to yourself. That is where you decide whether today you will live as an awake person or as someone pushed around by circumstances. Seneca once said that we often suffer more in imagination than in reality. Waking up early is the same. What scares you is not waking up early itself, but the story you keep telling yourself that it will be miserable, exhausting, unbearable. But once you actually get out of bed, you realize discomfort does not kill you. Discipline does not diminish you. It returns you to yourself. Just wake up 30 minutes earlier, or 45 minutes, or an hour if you can. Do not use that time to rush straight into work. Use it like a quiet piece of land. You can sit in stillness, you can read a few pages, you can write a few lines, you can review your goals, you can breathe deeply and ask, today, what is truly worth my energy? The Stoic does not begin the day in haste, they begin with intention. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when you wake up in the morning, think of the precious privilege of being alive, to breathe, to think, to love. That is not a beautiful quote for decoration. That is how he reset his attitude toward a new day. If you are still alive, you still have an opportunity. If you are still breathing, you can still repair. If you still have a morning, you still have a doorway to begin again. Do not let that doorway be opened by sluggishness and surrender. Drink water before reaching for coffee. The first thing many people do after waking up is reach for their phone or their coffee. Coffee is not bad, but if the first thing you need to feel alive again is stimulation, then maybe you have forgotten something very basic. Your body needs care before it is forced to perform. After a long night, the body is dehydrated. The brain also needs water to become alert, to focus, to regulate mood. But many people ignore that simple fact. They pour caffeine into a dry body and then wonder why they feel restless, tense, and unstable. The Stoic does not underestimate small things, because they understand that a great life is built from very small actions. A glass of water in the morning may seem insignificant, but it is a quiet declaration. Today, I care for myself with awareness, not with reflex. Today, I choose what my body needs before chasing what I crave. Today, I begin with balance, not stimulation. Epictetus emphasized that progress does not come from luck, but from mastering yourself every day. And self-mastery is not always dramatic. Sometimes, self-mastery is drinking water before touching your phone. It is caring for the body before demanding that it carry pressure. It is choosing clarity over addiction to quick feeling. Look a little deeper. Drinking water before coffee is not just a health habit. It is a lesson in impulse control. You crave coffee, but you do not immediately obey. You want stimulation, but you pause and ask, what is actually good for me? That is Stoicism in daily life. Not reading hundreds of philosophical quotes and still living unconsciously, but turning each small action into a place where willpower is trained. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Morning is where many unconscious behaviors appear. You act like a machine. Reach, scroll, drink, react, chase. But with just one conscious choice, you break that automatic chain. A glass of water, one breath, 1 second of slowing down. It sounds small, but if you cannot master the small things, what will you use to master major upheavals? If you realize your mornings usually begin with reflex instead of awareness, comment 1. If starting tomorrow you want to begin with one small action to take back control, comment 2. One small choice in the morning can be the first step toward becoming a more disciplined person. And gently tap like on the video and subscribe to the channel to follow more videos about Stoic philosophy every day. 3. Do not let your phone steal your morning mind. Morning is sacred ground for the mind, but many people open their eyes and immediately hand that ground over to their phone. Notifications, messages, emails, bad news, comments, social media, other people's lives, other people's anger, the fears the algorithm has already selected for you. You think you are just checking for a minute. But in truth, you are allowing the outside world to step into the innermost room of your mind before you have had the chance to stand firmly. And once your mind has been occupied early in the morning, it becomes very hard to recover that original clarity for the rest of the day. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The phone is a gateway through which countless outside events invade your mind. If you open that gate too early, do not wonder why you feel uneasy before the day has even begun. One email can make you tense. One bad piece of news can make you anxious. One photo from someone else can make you compare. One comment can make you lose your composure. One message can pull you into a role you never chose. And so instead of beginning the day with sovereignty, you begin it with reaction. The Stoic does not let the mind be dragged away so easily. They know that morning must be protected. Not because they are weak, but because they understand the value of silence. Try one simple rule. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking up. No need to be extreme. No need to turn yourself into someone disconnected from life. Just do not open the door too early to the world. During those 30 minutes, you can drink water, make your bed, move your body lightly, write a few lines, read something of substance, sit still and let your mind return to itself. You will notice the difference very clearly. When you do not scroll your phone right away, you begin to hear your real thoughts. You begin to feel your body. You begin to recognize what you need today. You are no longer forced to react to things that do not belong to you. Carl Jung said, "We are not what happened to us, we are what we choose to become." Every morning, that choice repeats itself. Will you become someone dragged around by the stream of information? Or someone calm enough to choose the direction of your own mind? The phone is not evil, but used at the wrong time, it will turn you into a servant of noise. Remember this, The first one to speak to your mind in the morning should not be the algorithm, should not be the news, should not be someone else's life. The first one should be you. 4. Begin the day with one orderly action. There is a strange kind of power in completing one small thing right at the beginning of the day. No need for a huge victory, no need for a breakthrough, no need to change your whole life in one morning. Just one small, orderly action. For example, make your bed, pull the blanket straight, arrange the pillows, smooth the sheets, and in just a few minutes, you have completed something. It sounds so simple that many people dismiss it. But that is exactly the problem. Modern people often dream of great change while underestimating small actions. They want discipline, but cannot keep one small promise. They want life to feel ordered, but the very first room they step out of each morning is already chaos. Making your bed is not housework. It is mental training. It sends your brain a signal: I have begun. I have completed something. I can create order. I do not let disorder determine my inner state. A made bed will not make you successful overnight, but one small promise kept every morning rebuilds trust with yourself. And trust in yourself is the foundation of all discipline. If you keep making promises to yourself and then breaking them, you will lose self-respect. Not the loud kind people show on the outside, but the quiet feeling inside that says, I do not really trust myself anymore. On the other hand, every time you complete one small task, you are proving, what I say, I do. I do not need inspiration in order to act. I can choose order even when no one is watching. This is deeply Stoic in spirit. Self-mastery does not begin on some great battlefield. It begins in the most ordinary things. Admiral William McRaven once said that if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. Not because the bed is magical, but because it sets the rhythm for the whole day. A day that begins in order tends to create more order. A day that begins in chaos tends to attract more chaos. Carl Jung also saw the connection between the outer world and the inner one. The space around you often reflects the state of your mind. A messy room is not always just unorganized objects. Sometimes it is a sign of scattered thought, unprocessed emotion, and energy pulled in too many directions. You do not need to live perfectly, but begin the day with one orderly act. Make your bed. Fold your clothes, clear your desk. Straighten one small corner. Complete one first task cleanly. You are not doing it for praise. You are doing it to tell yourself, today I do not let chaos take command. If you feel you need to begin your day with more order, comment number 1. And if you are still listening this far, gently tap like to save this video and subscribe to the channel as a reminder. Great strength often begins with one very small action. 5. Wake up the body before demanding strength from the mind. There are mornings when your body feels heavy as stone, your arms and legs are sluggish, your mind is foggy, your spirit is slow. You have not truly entered the day yet, even though your eyes are open. Do not rush to conclude that you are lazy. Do not rush to condemn yourself as weak. Maybe your system simply has not been awakened yet. Mind and body are not separate. You cannot neglect the body and then demand a sharp mind. You cannot remain collapsed in inertia and still expect the energy of an intentional person. The fastest way to pull yourself into the day is to move. No need for intense exercise. No need to sweat. No need to turn the morning into a gym. Just move. A few stretches, a short walk, a few squats, a few yoga poses. Reach upward, roll your neck, open your chest, breathe deeply. When the body moves, the mind follows. The Stoic respects the body not out of vanity, but because the body is the instrument through which one lives with dignity. A strong spirit needs a body that has been awakened, cared for, and brought into rhythm. Epictetus said that nothing truly great is created all at once. Energy is the same, discipline is the same, endurance is the same. It is built day by day, through small actions, repeated. Not glamorous, but real. Morning movement is a ritual of self-respect. You are telling your body, I do not abandon you. You are telling your mind, I do not wait for motivation before acting. You are telling the new day, I entered this day with awareness. There is something very practical here. Emotion often gets stuck in the body. Anxiety tightens the chest. Sadness makes the shoulders collapse. Fear makes the breath shallow. Stagnation makes the whole body heavy. So sometimes the way out of a mental state is not more thinking. It is movement. You feel anxious? Move. You feel stuck? Move. You feel sad? Move. You feel directionless? Move. Not to escape emotion, but to break the freeze within. Seneca reminded us that it is not that we have too little time to live, but that we waste too much of it. How many mornings have been wasted because you lay there waiting to feel like it? How many days begin and delay because you waited for the right feeling? Do not wait. Move before the excuses appear. Stand up before the mind begins bargaining. Move before sluggishness convinces you that today is another failed day. A body that has been awakened will pull the mind out of the fog. And when you begin the day with movement, you are not only warming up your muscles, you are warming up your will. 6. Write your thoughts down so they do not imprison you. There is something very dangerous. Thoughts that are never seen. They stay in your head, circling, repeating, expanding, mixing worry, memory, planning, fear, and self-blame. You think you are thinking, but often you are just being dragged around by thought. That is why writing in the morning is so powerful. Journaling is not an artist's game. Not writing to sound beautiful. Not writing for anyone else to read. It is hygiene for the mind. You pick up a pen. You write down what is sitting in your chest. What you are worried about. What you are afraid of. What you are grateful for. What you need to do. What you have not yet dared to admit. When a thought stays in your head, it can keep changing shape. But when it is written on paper, it becomes clearer. It becomes smaller. It takes form. And anything that takes form can be faced. Marcus Aurelius did not write Meditations to publish it. He wrote it for himself. Those lines were reminders, corrections, a way to keep himself from being dragged away by power, pressure, ego, and circumstance. If an emperor needed writing to keep his mind sharp, then we should not underestimate it either. Writing helps you see yourself. And many people do not progress because they never truly see themselves. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Writing is one of the fastest ways to bring the unconscious into the light. You begin to notice repeating patterns. Why do I always avoid this conversation? Why am I so easily hurt by that person's words? Why do I keep delaying this important task? Why do I always doubt myself right before I begin? When you do not write, everything stays like a cloud. When you write it down, you begin to see its structure. And once you can see the structure, you have the power to change it. You can begin very simply. Today I am feeling. What worries me most is, one important thing I need to do today is, one thing I am grateful for is, one quality I want to keep today is, no need for length, no need for beauty, no need for correct grammar, just truth. One honest page can save you from hours of inner chaos. Writing will not solve every problem for you, but it helps you separate what is real from what is noise. What needs action from what is just fear exaggerating. What reflects your values from what is only a temporary reaction. Seneca said that each evening we should examine ourselves. The morning is the same, not to judge, but to prepare. Morning writing is how you step into the new day with a mind that has already been untangled. The person who never writes is often led around by their own thoughts. The person who writes begins to observe their thoughts, and the person who can observe their own mind is not easily manipulated by it. If you want to try writing in the morning, comment a number 1. Just 5 minutes a day. No perfection needed. Just honesty. Sometimes one written line can save an entire day from chaos. 7. Choose 3 clear goals before the day drags you away. There is a kind of exhaustion that does not come from doing too much. It comes from not knowing what you are doing. You begin the day with a little motivation. Then the messages arrive. This task interrupts, that demand pushes in. You jump from one thing to another. By the end of the day, you are very busy, very tired, but nothing truly moved forward. That is not laziness, that is lack of direction. If you do not give your day a target, you will hand your energy over to whatever is loudest. The Stoic does not wander through the day. They do not wait for clarity to appear on its own. They set direction intentionally. Epictetus said, "First tell yourself what kind of person you want to be, then do what you have to do." That sentence cuts deeply. Because if you do not know who you want to become, you will do things that lead nowhere. In the morning, choose 3 important tasks, not 20 tasks, not a long list that overwhelms you. Just 3. 3 things that if completed let you say, "Today I moved forward." It could be, send 1 important email, exercise for 20 minutes, write 1 page, complete 1 part of your work, make 1 necessary phone call, clear 1 task you've been delaying, read 10 pages of a book, stay calm in 1 difficult conversation. What matters is that it must be specific. Do not write, "Work efficiently." Write, "Finish the first draft." Do not write, "Live healthier." Write, "Walk for 20 minutes." Do not write, "Be calmer." Write, "Before replying to an upsetting message, pause for 10 seconds." The clearer the goal, the less energy the mind wastes. Busy is not the same as productive. Motion is not the same as progress. Doing more is not the same as living rightly. You can run all day through a maze and still never get closer to the exit. What you need is not more speed. What you need is direction. Carl Jung said, "Whoever looks outward dreams, whoever looks inward awakens." Setting morning goals is not only about managing tasks, it is a way of turning inward and asking, what truly matters to me today? Which action, if completed, will move me closer to the person I want to become? Which task is just noise disguised as urgency? Once you can answer that, your day is no longer wasted. And remember this, 1 small completed task is better than carrying 10 large unfinished ones. 1 completed task builds confidence. 10 unfinished tasks build disappointment. Every morning, choose 3. Do them first if you can. Protect them from the intrusion of the world. This is how you turn the day into a battlefield with strategy, not a pile of chaos. The self-mastered person does not ask, "What will happen to me today?" They ask, "Where will I place my energy today?" And that question changes everything. You do not need to control your whole life in one day. You only need to begin by controlling your morning. Because the way you begin usually determines the way you live. If you begin with procrastination, the whole day will tend to slide into procrastination. If you begin with chaos, the whole day will be easily pulled deeper into chaos. If you begin with reaction, you will spend the day exhausted from chasing the world. But if you begin with discipline, order, clarity, and awareness, you are sending yourself a very clear message. Today I do not live like someone being controlled. Today I choose how I respond. Today, I keep ownership of my mind. Remember these 7 habits. 1. Wake up a little earlier to take back control. 2. Drink water before reaching for coffee. 3. Do not let your phone steal your morning mind. 4. Begin the day with 1 orderly action. 5. Wake up the body before demanding strength from the mind. 6. Write your thoughts down so they do not imprison you. 7. Choose 3 clear goals before the day drags you away. None of these habits is too big, but that is exactly why they are powerful in the best way. They enter your life quietly. They change the way you begin. Then they change the way you think. Then they change the way you respond. And eventually, they change the person you are becoming. Strength does not always roar. Sometimes strength is simply one person waking up a little earlier, drinking a glass of water, not touching the phone, making the bed, moving the body, writing a few lines, choosing 3 important things, and stepping into the new day with calm eyes. Not loud, not boastful, but sovereign. That is Stoicism. Not living coldly, but living awake. Not forcing yourself to be perfect, but refusing to drift. You do not need a perfect morning. You only need a conscious morning. Because once you master the morning, you begin to master the day. Once you master the day, you begin to master your habits. Once you master your habits, you begin to master your character. And once character is steady, life no longer breaks you so easily. Out of these 7 habits, which one do you want to start tomorrow morning? Comment a number from 1 to 7. If you choose to take back your morning, comment, "I master the new day." Do not forget to like, subscribe, and keep walking this path to train a mind that is calm, disciplined, and not easily dragged away by the world.